Hi everyone, this is Tisch Aitken, and I wanted to talk about the beginning of the month of May and what is in store for all of us astrologically. Now, this is a month where a lot of things will be slowing down, and yet we'll also be returning to things because there will be quite a bit of retrograde energy. So I'm filming this at the very end of April, and currently, well, we just had Pluto, which was one of the key players of the year. As most of you know, Saturn and Pluto met up at 22 degrees of Capricorn on January 12th, which is at the world axis, and that impacts all of us. And that's collapsing of old structures, that's death and rebirth and mass change, permanent change. And now Pluto stationed retrograde at 24 degrees of Capricorn on April. The nodes of fate are about to shift signs. They entered the Capricorn Cancer axis on November 6th of 2018, and they are about to change signs on May 5th and enter the Sagittarius Gemini axis. So what that means is anytime a planet is at 0 degrees of a cardinal sign, and the cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, that is the world axis that brings more prominence. It brings bigger events. It can bring very powerful people, famous people. It's all relative what fame is, well-renowned people or well-known people. But it also can bring very big events in your life, very opportune events or very karmic events that come in. So pay attention to what's happening now. And also, because we're going to have a lot of retrograde energy happening in May, and because there's going to be a lot of the summer is going to be really a lot happening because we're going to have 3 eclipses as opposed to 2. I think that this is a time where you might want to try to seize this window now to launch things if you haven't done so yet. So with the nodes of fate at the world axis, big things can happen. We only have about a week of that. But also with Venus right now out of bounds, it can bring a lot of creativity. It amplifies the energy of Venus, and it is out of bounds until June 2nd. It retrogrades from May 13th until June 25th. And it's going to retrograde initially at 21 degrees of Gemini, and it's going to station direct on June 25th at 5 degrees of Gemini. That's a mutable air sign. It's not setting off all this cardinal madness that we've been dealing with all year. But what it does do is it helps us to reevaluate our choices, to reconsider things, to return to things. And with Venus out of bounds, Venus in Gemini is very flirtatious and communicative and social. It's all about communication. It's ruled by Mercury. And with it being out of bounds, again, I think it gives us more options and opportunities. But with it also being retrograde, while the nodes of fate are about to change signs, it's giving us a reflection. Think back to what was happening in October and November of 2018. October 26th of 2018 is when we had the Venus-Sun conjunction that happens every 8 years. In that case, it was an inferior conjunction. Venus was retrograde. But again, it was a time of setting intentions of what you value and love, Venus. Well, now Venus is about to retrograde. It's not totally playing by the rules because it's out of bounds, but it gives us a chance to figure out, this has been a horrible year for most. It's a year that, again, there are no words. I'm not going to try to put any words into what this year is, but what you want to figure out is how you move forward. And in reflecting is often how we move forward rather than just launching ahead. So we've got Pluto retrograde. We've got Saturn retrogrades on May 11th. It's going to station retrograde at 1 degree of Aquarius. And it re-enters Capricorn on July 2nd. But we all got a brief glimpse of what Saturn in Aquarius is about. And to me, I think it's about connection. Although we've been doing it mostly from the vantage of social distancing, we've also been connecting in far more meaningful ways than I've seen in a long time. So Saturn stations retrograde on May 11th. Venus stations retrograde on May 13th. Jupiter stations retrograde on May 14th, and that will be retrograde for several months as well. Jupiter and Pluto and Jupiter will be traveling together basically for the rest of the year. And Jupiter is about 27 degrees of Capricorn, if I can remember correctly. But regardless, we have all of that happening mid-May. So reconnecting to what you want, to what you love, to how you earn money, to how you create things, and to doing some healing. And that's what leads me to where this super moon is in the beginning of next week. We've got a super moon in Scorpio that takes place on May 7th at 6:45 a.m. I cast the chart for Eastern Daylight Time, and it has Gemini ascendant, meaning that Mercury rules the chart. Mercury is in combat with Mars and Aquarius. Mercury is in Taurus, forming a challenging square to Mars in Aquarius. Mars is at the top of the chart in the house of career. So there could be angry words or there could be combat as to how to do things. And maybe, definitely could be friction with that energy. But I think the more important in this is to tap into the fact that the sun in Scorpio falls in the sixth house of work, daily routine, and service. Well, many of us have neglected our daily routine with all that's happened. So returning to exercising, meditation, I don't know what it is for you, whatever it is, practicing self-care in a healthy way, maybe some more quiet time, healthier nutrition. Many of us have been binge eating or not eating enough or whatever it is. And then the moon, the moon and Mercury in Taurus fall in and Uranus actually fall in the 12th house, which is the house of spirituality and the house of imagination. And it's the Pisces house in astrology. And, we have to, do affirmations and write down things we want. That's part of the law of attraction. But a lot of it also is really feeling the emotions. And with planets in the 12th house, well, that's a spiritual house. It's a very ascetic house. It's about helping others that need your help. And I think that's a really key part of this too. But also it's about getting rest, and it's also about health and wellness. It's a big theme, I think, with the sun opposite the moon in the Virgo and Pisces houses of astrology, the 6th and 12th houses. This really focuses again, not just on our wounds, in every way, our emotional wounds, comprehensive of it in every way you can think. And the nodes of fate will now have changed signs. They will be at 29 degrees of Gemini and Sagittarius. And so, and they're working in harmony with Mars. Mars in Aquarius is forming a trine to the north node in Gemini. And part of that, to me, they both are air signs. They deal with networking and communication. And Aquarius in particular deals with the internet and social media. So a lot of this is networking. And I think this is a really good, it's not going to be an easy full moon. It's a very painful one, probably a lot of anger with Mars squaring Mercury. Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio. It's a super moon in its detriment, in its fall. It's exalted. The moon's exalted in Taurus. So the moon is in its fall position in Scorpio. It's a painful, wounded placement of the moon already. And then you have it, the ruler of it in conflict with Mercury. Those are angry words. And I think taking action by connecting and networking and working and inventing, I think that's your best bet. And secondly, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn all fall in the 9th house, which deals with education, spirituality, promotion, having a belief system of some sort, But I think also education. Education is a big theme this next few years with Saturn and Aquarius. It's about enlightenment. It's not just education in the traditional sense, but it's learning these skills. It's becoming a lot more tech savvy, but also more socially savvy. That's the bigger thing. Many of us lack social skills at this point. So anyway, it's going to be an intense week. This week is too. No week has disappointed yet in terms of that. So I wish you all a lot of luck and take care and thank you. Bye-bye.